started, the trends and what's happening now. We see a tremendous revolution of technology for almost in every field. And we believe that, and the people that use Phone to Action, which are many people in this room, Center for Education Reform, Step Up for Students, Success Academies, American Federation for Children, BEO, we believe that by putting technology in the hands of people who are actually democratizing this process of a school choice. We are, like Dr. Page said, we are putting two things together, technology and choice, at the hands of people so they are able to have access to these programs. Social media is incredibly powerful today. The entire Senate is on Twitter, right? The entire Senate, almost the entire House. How many people do you think follow this gentleman here? Raise your hand if you think it's over 50,000 people. It's north of 80,000 people who follow him. So, so the power of social media, not only to connect people with their elected officials, but also to connect with one another and to create this revolution that is needed to put kids first. Things that all of these great organizations are doing already is the way of the future. I think just like technology is revolutionizing every industry, is also going to disrupt advocacy.
So I have a question from the audience I'll start with first. Stacy Lindberg. Stacy, there you are, from Palmetto Scholars Academy. Now I'm going to try and address your question or raise your question to the panel, but also thinking about it from a marketing perspective, because Stacy's asking, finding a principal with the skill set to run a charter is extremely difficult, because most candidates come from the traditional school system and they fail in a charter environment because they don't know how to be a CEO and to be accountable to a board of parents and community leaders. So what can the choice movement to help train successful charter principals? But I will also ask, how can we better, market what it is that we do, or what the school choice movement does that would attract the right kind of people, the right kind of entrepreneurs to go into help creating new schools for parents? Senator?
Well, thank you for that question. Sometimes I think we don't describe charter schools correctly. I've always thought of charter schools as schools that free teachers to do what they know how to do and parents to choose the schools. Or put it the other way, let parents choose the schools and then give teachers and a principal the freedom from government rules, union rules, state rules, school board rules, to devise a program using the dollars they've got to meet the needs of the children they serve. Now, if that's what the school is, and that could be a private school or it could be a public charter school, then I think really good principals would love to do that, because they'd like to have the freedom to be open 12 hours a day if they needed to be open during the Easter break, to be open, to have some classes large, some classes small, to pay some teachers more than others. So I don't think it's that hard to find a good school leader for a public charter school or private school if you describe to them the opportunity to let the parents choose the school and then let the principal and the teachers decide how to serve those kids. I mean, what could be better than saying to a parent who complains about the school, you don't have to go here. You can go somewhere else. You have other choices. So if you really don't like the fact that we insist on this homework, or we start at 7 o'clock, or we have this size school, you're welcome to transfer. That's a pretty big opportunity. And so I know lots of really good public school leaders who probably would really like having the freedom to lead a public charter school or even a private school.
Doug, I see you over there, and you have to communicate this message to try and get schools to want to participate in your program. So how do you find those people who understand this, or how do you market it to them?
First of all, I just wanted to say I thank Ellen for her kind comments. There's a guy in our state named Jeb Bush who also deserves a little bit of credit for some of the things that happen in Florida. So I want to give a shout out to Jeb. He's busy now, but he deserves a little bit of credit. Well, I think what's interesting, I mean, we're sort of early in this transformation of public education from this sort of factory assembly line model to customization. It's much more decentralized, and it's really a sort of empowerment model versus a disempowerment model. And one of the things that's interesting that I'm starting to see, even in the private schools, is that they're starting to build coalitions, because there are times when there's value in economies of scale. And so the challenge is, how do you get the benefits of bigness without all the negatives? And how do you get the benefits of smallness and decentralization without the negatives? I think that's the challenge. You do, as the senator said, I mean, this is a tremendous opportunity for educators to finally be freed from all the bureaucracy, to be innovative and to creative, and to kind of have the kind of entrepreneurial opportunities that other professions have always had. We finally are starting to get that opportunity for us, and we are seeing a lot of wonderful talent rush into the field. At the same time, small businesses are tough to run. And so sometimes when you can form coalitions, you can share your marketing strategies, you can share your professional development resources, you can share some of your technology investments. You're seeing coalitions in Florida. Some of the obvious ones are obviously Catholic schools that are all working together. But we've got over 300 schools in Florida that are all over the place, that are coming together to form partnerships, to share with each other, to look for ways to collaborate, to get the benefits of economies of scale. So that's one of the most exciting things for me, is you're going to, as public education becomes transformed, you're all going to see us figuring out how to get the benefits of bigness and also the benefits of smallness at the same time.
And I would just add on to that. I think beyond the thinking about school leaders, thinking about teachers and how we get people who have expertise in various industries. I mean, you talk about education leaders. Think about all of the people, the alternative paths to certification that we could open up to get people who have expertise in their individual fields into the classroom. And I think that's how you really attract people who have passion, not just for education, but for the subject matter that they're teaching and can really innovate in the classroom.
One hot, and this will be our last question to the panel, but there's really been a hot debate about regulating school choice, and our previous panel talked about it a little bit. But there is a lot of talk about regulating school choice. I'm sorry, I'm not on. Okay, can you still hear me? Okay. There's a lot of talk about regulating school choice, test scores, data, evidence, all of the above. But we actually know a lot more about what makes parents make a decision about their children's school than just those test scores. So how do we market the elements that parents really do value, or how do we put more emphasis on those elements that parents really do value to help others understand the importance of their decision-making process when choosing a school for their child?
So I'm going to share a little bit of a campaign that we have with American Federation for Children in Louisiana. So something that I think we learn from parents every day about the ways that they connect with each other, the way they make decisions, if we just observe how they act on some of these campaigns. And for example, in Louisiana, we're powering with technology the American Federation for Children scholarship program. And a couple of things we noticed. Number one, if you make the application process to be responsive on mobile, so parents can see it on their mobile phones. Then if they're able to pick, we have a school finder there where parents enter their zip code and they are matched against the schools. And then if they're able to pick, you will see that parents don't make the same decisions. So some of them look actually if the school is a Catholic school or not. They look at if the school has after-school programs, or if they offer soccer, or if they offer any of these other services. So sometimes just sort of giving them the information so they can make enough decisions, that's one good thing. Second, I think parents need to be met where they are. And we notice tremendous use of text message. We know by statistics that over 90% of cell phone users use text message every day, but minorities lead the way. And while they don't use email or internet as much as they use text message, you can pass links through text message and give them access to scholarships. And that's what we're doing with the Louisiana Scholarship Program, where parents are able to text a keyword through radio. 60% of the applications that are coming through the tools for scholarship are coming through radio. of the almost 12,000 people that applied last year, over 50% applied through text message. They got the link through text messages, almost 7,000 people. And most of them responded to ads in radio. So, and we see the same trend here in DC, where 60%, 65% of the people that also applied through text message did it because of a radio ad. In other places, you see buses, etc. So I think using technology to really get to meet people, meet parents where they are, not undermining their capability to use technology because they use it every day. We saw in Thanksgiving how much they use coupons online, but actually using it as an equalizer of access, I see that as a tremendous opportunity to help them make decisions, informed decisions about their schools.
Kara, I'd add too that when we think about marketing, it's easy to try to think about shortcuts and what's the quickest way to get to the end goal. But I think that we have to realize that, like panels before us said, this really is about the long-term process of building relationships, because until we have credibility to convey the message, it doesn't matter how good we are at delivering it over social media or anything else. We have to have the credibility to be heard, and that means that we have to go into communities, have conversations with people, treat them with dignity, and let them see our hearts and know that our motivation in doing this is because we care about what's best for their child.
Senator?
We're in our committee that Tim and I are on, we're working on fixing No Child Left Behind, which is about 8 years overdue. Even by Senate standards, this is really tardy. And the first big issue is over-testing, too much testing. One of the interesting things that's come out is that the 17 federal tests that No Child Left Behind requires, like reading and math in the 3rd grade, reading and math in the 4th grade, that's just 17 tests. Jeb Bush's Educational Choice Foundation found that in Florida, and you'll know more about this, Doug, than I will, that there are up to 200 tests being administered by. And almost all of them, therefore, came because of state requirements and local requirements. Fort Myers had 183 tests other than the 17 federal tests. Now, I think what's becoming clear is that one of the reasons there are so many local and state tests is because of the high-stake sanctions that the federal government requires for the federal tests. And if those were moved to the states, if the states, in other words, were able to say for public schools, if the test scores aren't up to par, this is failure, this is success, these are the consequences, and these are the other things we're going to take into account, I think that would make a big difference. So what I'm getting around to saying is, I think from purely a marketing point of view, a public charter school is going to have to take the same tests that all the other public schools take. So you might as well go ahead and say, we take the same 2 tests in 3rd grade, they just each take 2 hours. And you can see those, and you can compare that, and the results are disaggregated. And I don't know, from a private school point of view, you might want to do that as well. You're going to do multiple assessments of every child, but one way to persuade people that they're getting of the value of what you're offering in the private school might be to say, we're not afraid to take those same tests, show you the results, but we've got a lot of other things we can show you as well. We don't just rely on those. I think that's an individual choice that a private school could make.
Doug, real quick, 30-second last thoughts on that topic.
Real quickly, Senator, I think technology is going to redefine this whole assessment issue, by the way, in the coming years, but I'll let that go. Because we've historically not had choice in public education, we haven't built the kind of infrastructure that other fields have to help people make good choices. So if you're in medicine, you have a primary care physician to help you navigate all the various medical choices. If you want to sell a house, you have a real estate agent. If you have a lot of money, you have a financial advisor. But in education, because we've never had really choice, we haven't built out the infrastructure to help people make good choices. And so I think what you're going to find over the next decade, we're going to continue to work on building better infrastructure to make sure that families have the kind of support systems they need to customize the choices for their particular children.
Great, thank you very much. Senator Scott, a few last words. And don't forget to tweet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tim. Well, thank you for coming out. Thank you for the answer.
We always stay. I'll give you stay.
Nice job, Kara.
Well, we are almost at the end here, and thank you so much for your attention, your attentiveness, and your specific questions on topics that are so important to our future and to the future of our most valuable asset, our students. And panelists, feel free to get ready to head on out. Don't stick around to hear the closing comments. I would say, I say that sincerely. I've heard me talk long enough, so you guys go home too. But I would say to those folks who have come up here, especially from my home state of South Carolina, let me just give a shout out to the folks who are around here. I call the voters my bosses, so thank you guys for taking the time to come up and to be a part of this process. Ellen and others, thank y'all for this.